Hi guys, we're finally here with our first edition of the Pawffice Hours that we promised you. So our first question that we had was about poop eating. And this was not a great one to start with because the answer is, to the question, how do we get dogs to stop eating poop, is, I don't know. But there are some reasons that dogs tend to do it. For one thing, I think it's important to know that it's actually normal behavior. Especially after a female's had puppies, they will eat the poop and things like that. And the theory behind that is so they can establish like their gut flora and things like that. So it's not an abnormal dog behavior. It's just a gross one. And then other causes, it does tend to be more common in dogs who were improperly socialized, especially as puppies. So people who get their dogs from, I would say puppy mills and things or situations where they may not have been well socialized, it might be more common with that. It can be more common in dogs, maybe higher anxiety dogs who just need a lot of energy. And so it becomes one of those kind of I tend to call them obsessive behavior. And so those dogs will tend to need more just interaction, stimulation, exercise, activity to help just inhibit some of those behaviors that we don't typically appreciate. And then Amy added on to this question saying, why do they tend to do it certain times of year? Again, I think this is a preference thing. Some dogs will like poopsicles, so they go to town in the wintertime when things are frozen, or early spring when things have melted and there's lots of little treasures underneath the snow. Some dogs, from what I've heard, thankfully never experienced this with my own, seem to like it as fresh as possible. And those, I think, tend to be a little more tricky to control, because the best thing we can do for this is picking up the poop to prevent them from eating. There are some remedies out there, different topicals you sprinkle on their food. The pineapple theory, that's all supposed to deter them from eating the poop based on the smell of it, things like that. I think it varies dog to dog. I've had some people tell me that those things have worked. I've had some say it maybe made their dog eat more poop. So nothing's really tried and true. The biggest health risk with this is the transmission of intestinal parasites. So the gross things that live in the poop, obviously the dogs can easily eat that. So it can be much more difficult to control and prevent intestinal parasite infections, especially if you bring a new puppy into your house that is much more likely to have parasites, and then that can be transmitted that way. And then when you think of the dog coming in and giving you all the love and knowing that some of those intestinal parasites can go to you, that just, something that none of us want to think about, but we maybe should. So I think that answers all the questions. And thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for more.